Rebic, Rafa, tira, gol! Rafael Leao! Oggi segna Leo! La mia giornata è iniziata così!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony A.J. Tallgroove.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. This is our second take at the intro because for whatever reason I laugh when Ollie starts every time. But we're here, we're happy. Top of the table, league leaders, we're going all the way. We got Madison.
Why can't you give me the same intro that Oliver gives you?
What?
Yeah, it's a bit of a step down, isn't it? As in, like,
it is.
I give you
like,
the big.
Like, I know I'm below you guys
Madison
in like the SempreMilan hierarchy, and
You lost your volume. That's why I don't give you the intro.
Totally fair. Big D.
my mic.
Yeah, you muted your mic
Okay.
and your little rant there.
Well, I got a call for my actual job. Let's just get started.
Train wreck next in it already.
I just want to take a moment to point out that Madison ignored his work call to continue recording, so maybe
that
you'll
a
actually
thumbs
get
up.
a real intro next week.
Hopefully no one,
give
like-
the video a like because Madison puts this above his actual job. You know, that shows how devoted. we
Well,
are.
you know, volunteer work is very important to
Right.
me.
Put it on your resume.
Yeah,
this is
right.
important.
Get on LinkedIn. Never know. Might get some Tiger season tickets. Anyway, boys, we've got a game to review. We'll dive straight into it because we've just got a game to review and then a game to preview, which is coming up at the weekend. We play on Saturday nights. Last game play on Saturday night this coming weekend as well. I'm not a massive fan of them personally. I quite like the Sunday night games to like cap off the weekend, or maybe I wouldn't mind a Friday night game if we won and then that put us in a good mood for the weekend. The Saturday, it's like your weekend kind of hinges on it. This time we got the job done. It wasn't as straightforward as it could have been. Let's be honest. It was a 1-0 victory against Empoli. Empoli have not won a game in the league since December. A few fans thought that this would be a comfortable victory for us, and understandably so. As mentioned, Empoli's form has not been good. They got a lot of points on the board early in the season, and since then they've struggled. First half goal from Kalulu was enough to win it, and what a goal it was, you know. Might as well just talk about it as it happened. Olivier Giroud spends ages lining up a free kick while Mike Maignan over by the technical area, lining the wall up, whacks it into the wall. It comes back out to Kalulu. Beautiful curling shot. There's a great angle of it on our Twitter that shows that it started way outside the post and then bent its way back inside. So yeah, that was it. Man of the moment, right?
Yeah. Was that a joke about Mike Maignan lining up the wall?
Nope.
I don't recall him being on that at all. Why was he down
seriously. That's on our Twitter too. I don't know
was
what
like
it
on
is.
the sideline or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
there? Why?
he was lining up our wall for the free kick, as in like this is where you should stand. If obviously from a goalkeeper's perspective, where wouldn't you
right.
want the opposition players to be stood? So he's got in line with it, and he's trying to place our players in such a way that it would disrupt Vicari in Empoli's goal. And of course, you're like a right div when he just thumps it straight into the wall. But yeah, Mike does his thing, doesn't he?
I didn't know that. So then he just sprinted his ass back down after that?
Pretty much had to, yeah.
Wow. Well,
Well,
that's
unless he
ballsy. I
celebrated
love
with
him.
the team first.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's dangerous though on a counter like that, especially when you're shooting straight at the wall. I was confused why Giroud was taking the free kick at all. To be honest with you, I thought there was a lot of better options for that. So I remember kind of laughing to myself and on the couch right there, and I was like, "Why is Giroud taking this?" Like, I know he's fantastic. He's been putting him away for us, but this seems like unnecessary bravado from him right now. I don't know if he scored free kick goals, but it's not a thing. Okay, sorry. Doomy's freaking out in the chat. Yeah, it bounced back. Kalulu curled it in. Like, it was most of the time when a ball deflects like that and then the center back kicks it from like way outside the box, they're just bombing that, you know, trying to hit it as hard as they can. But there was a lot of technique around it, and it curled in just perfectly, and beautiful goal. No complaints.
It literally looked like just a shot that you take in practice where like he just like hit it and it just like moseyed its way on in, you know, and it was great. I feel like the last 2 weeks we've had some pretty great goals that I didn't call during the podcast, and I'm just going to stop, you know, calling for a Bakayoko stunner because it's never going to happen.
He's not going to get
He's
a
never
game,
going to play again. Yeah,
That's
he's
why
done.
it's never going to happen.
No, it was a great finish, and normally I think there's this preconception that if a centre back gets the chance to strike one from there, he's just going to put his foot through it and hit it as hard as he can. But that was a cultured finish, open side foot, using the curl, using the bit of the wall that was kind of remaining just to guide it around. It was a brilliant finish. It really was. You wouldn't have thought that was his first league goal of the season. You wouldn't have thought that was his first goal at San Siro. I'm buzzing for him because it feels like the culmination of weeks and months of hard work for him. I'm not saying that as a centre-back you need a goal to stamp that at all. If anything, he would be more satisfied with the clean sheet. But at the same time, to have his name up in lights, to have everybody singing and chanting his name, that feels like a fitting thing for Pierre Kalulu at the moment. He's 21 years old. We signed him when he hadn't made a single senior appearance for Lyon. We paid less than 500k for him. And he is proving to be a vital resource for us heading into the last, the decisive stretch of the season. He was the man of the match for me. Obviously, we'll come on to tops and flops, but I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Aside from that, though, in terms of key events in the game, there really wasn't an awful lot. You could say that in the Napoli game, we created chances on the break to kill it off. I really don't feel like we did this time around. You could say, if you want the glass half full view, that we managed the game quite well in that we didn't give them any absolute glorious scoring opportunities. And we took the sting out of the game at certain points. But I thought it was heading the same way as Udinese. I thought our second half performance was poor.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. And I've said this the last couple of weeks, is if we score an early goal, meaning the first half, we come out second half pretty poor. And that was still consistent with today. It was just Empoli isn't a strong enough side to actually capitalize on that. I thought the first 7 minutes of the game, Empoli dominated. I was like, here we go again, another lower level team that's just going to crush us because we can't do anything against these teams for some reason. And then from minutes 8 to 45, we were, our top form, we're dominating, got the goal, obviously. It looked like we might get a second in that first half, but we didn't. And then came out the second half, and it was like, we were just like, well, we got a lead, and then we just sat on it, and we weren't good the second half again. So I don't know why that seems to be our issue, but we just, if we go ahead early and it's just a 1-goal lead, we don't push for a second for some reason. We just kind of sit there, and it's almost like we play better coming from behind, So I don't know what the issue is, but that's got to be addressed because the next 5 games are very winnable in my opinion, and unfortunately they're against those lower level sides. And I'm including Lazio in that, by the way, because I think they're awful, even though they may go into 5th today.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
But they're probably not going to because they're awful. But
they are playing Venezia. I mean, I'll give them that. Venezia are in the bottom 3 now.
Yeah, so they probably will. But still, I think they're bad. And those are the teams we slip up against. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we always play to the level of our opponent. I mean, we beat Napoli and Inter Milan, and then we're barely beating Empoli. So, I don't know. This is how we win the league. You have to beat the smaller teams. And what really sucks is, like, we drew a couple in there, and if we would have won those games, we'd be, like, very clear. I mean, we're in first place, very clear by what is it going to be, a point once they play?
Yeah.
If they win that game in hand.
Yeah, it'll be a point if Inter win the game in hand. But, just looking back on it and actually taking into consideration the Torino game against Inter, you look at the Bremer goal, fantastic goal, but where Belotti is, he's offside and he's like right in front of Handanovic. Yeah, that wasn't called interference. However, you look at the one where Giroud's laying down on the ground away from goal about 18 yards out with a player on top of him, and that was called interference even though he didn't touch the ball. There's just a lot of things that didn't go our way. You look at the handball, same referee, Marco Guida, against Udinese that didn't get called. Their goal stood. You look at the Spezia bullshit. I mean, we really should have an extra 7 points here. The title should be wrapped up in like a week or two, but it's not because of officiating. And so it makes it a bit more difficult because we do have this easy stretch of games, followed by a harder stretch of games. We'll get onto that later because I don't think they're as difficult as people are assuming. But it amplifies it all when you have to worry about officiating as well, and not just your games, but all games, because it, not to be like there's a campaign against Milan, but there's been a lot of stuff in every game, ours and the other games in the league, that have gone against us for one reason or another, and it stacks up. Like I said, we could be an additional 7 points clear, but we're not. And towards the end of the season, that's when that stuff starts to really take effect, and here we are. So we'll see what happens.
Don't I always say? Don't let a referee decide the game.
That's what you always say. Every day you say that.
Every single day. You wake up and you text me, don't let the referee decide the game.
I do. Because you can't let them decide a game. You learn that as a Lions fan. And I'm not I watch them because I kind of have to be.
Did you get season tickets to them?
I didn't.
Okay.
Oh, they're actually it's pretty inexpensive.
That's because they're awful, yeah.
Oh, you should try Everton. I'm sure in the Championship they'll be pretty cheap too.
I don't know. We got to pay for that new stadium. So
new stadium, going to be the best in the second division.
I'm thinking they're going down, dog.
Yeah, they might be third tier pretty soon here.
They're going to pull a Sunderland. That's all I'm saying.
That would be mad. That would be mad if it's hardly to get out of. But anyway, back to it. I think. Yes, we haven't had the rubber to green. When you look at decisions overall, when you isolate them case by case, the decisions, and I agree, Maddie, some of those games against the lower ranking sides, you should win no matter what, But a lot of the refereeing errors that have gone against us this season have cost us points directly. It's not like we didn't get a penalty in the 20th minute, so we still had another 70 minutes to solve the game. We're talking about a last-minute equaliser chalked off. We're talking about a last-minute winner chalked off that then went and cost us a point. These are things that you can't really argue with. But what I like about this team is that they haven't taken on a victim complex in any way, and they're just getting on with it. And the position that we found ourselves in now after our third clean sheet in a row in all competitions, I will note that's good progress after we were letting in sloppy goals against Salernitana and Udinese. We've responded in a solid and compact way. We've got our fate in our hands. We control our own destiny. It's very unlikely, but if we win our last 9 games and we take 27 points, we have won the league title. I do think that's unlikely, and we'll come on to how many points might be needed to win the league from this point onwards. But I'll read Pioli's quote because I think this summarises it pretty well. We didn't dominate the game, but we controlled the game well and didn't take many risks.
Yeah, I guess that's spot on. Yeah.
Do you think there's an element of energy conservation? Win while in first gear and then save some. But then we're only playing once a week and there's an international break at the end of the month. So I'm just a bit more worried that the players are just naturally out of steam.
Yeah, I think maybe it is a bit of an energy conservation because the players are running out of steam. So it's kind of like, give a lot until you get the goal and then maybe relax a bit and just after the international break, maybe come back and be ready to go for that final stretch of the season there. Maybe they're thinking we have a small lead at the top, so we can afford to rest on our laurels a bit. But, that's a dangerous strategy. You look at Allegri ball, they play for the 1-0, and it's cost them a lot this season, and that's why they're only in 4th and not really up top. Speaking of Juve, though, they still have to play Inter. So regardless, one of those teams or both are dropping more points. So, yeah, that's good. And I don't really think Juve is a title threat like everyone else says. I know they're not that far off. What are they, 8 or 9 points off or something like that? So they're definitely in. No, they're 11 or 12 now because I don't know.
Yeah, but they're only they're 9? Pretty close to 3rd place.
They are. They could jump Inter with their win against Inter.
They're 7 points off us.
Frick. Okay. Well, they're significantly higher than I thought they were.
Yeah, if you look at their next games, Salernitana, then they've got Inter. And if they win that will be massive. But then they've got Cagliari, Bologna, Sassuolo, Venezia, Genoa. They could be on a real run here. And we need to make sure that we do not drop 7 points between now and the end of the season. So otherwise, I think that opens the door to them a little bit.
Well, I'm just thinking out loud. They win their next 2 games. That's 6 points for them. I think we could win our next 2 as well. So it doesn't change the gap between us, but it definitely drops Inter to 3rd. So that effectively puts them near out of the race. So that's good at least. One saving grace there is at least it won't be Inter.
Yeah, that would be okay with me.
But it would be the worst thing in the world for Juve to come back and win the league after the season that they've had.
We look
Yeah,
like a joke
really
of a
would.
league then if that
Would
if
also
allowed
make
to happen.
Pirlo look fucking horrible.
Yeah, it really
I
would.
saw a tweet, and these are dumb, so please, this isn't me trying to defend it, but if you take the Serie A table from the 4th round onwards, then Juve are top, and that's kind of mad. That shows how bad a start, but it goes to show it's a 38-game season. You better play every single game as if it's a final, and they're being punished for that slow start. But I think they're going to be top 4 now. I mean, Atalanta drawing 0-0 at home to Genoa shows that they have fallen off the wagon a little bit.
Yeah.
They are not the team that they were. I think they're suffering a bit of a Gasperini burnout there. Be interesting to see what happens with them. I mean, if Lazio somehow end up finishing 5th, or even Roma, then it's bad because Atalanta were in a title race apparently up until about 4
but you
weeks
can only
ago.
sell your players for so long before you can't keep replacing them.
Exactly.
You would think
eventually
so.
you run out of gems to find, and
they're still having a great season when you consider their resources and that they're happy to sell for profit and only reinvest part of it. They're still having a fantastic season, and there's still things about them to admire and to follow. But yeah, if they do drop out of the top 4, then you got to wonder what happens with their project moving forward. But yeah, just on the Empoli game, there's nothing else key incident wise to recap. The substitutions didn't inject the amount of life that I thought they would. He made 2 double subs, and then he brought on Krunic as a final sub. And I thought that bringing on Ibra, bringing on Brahim Diaz, Salamakers, it would just, Rebic, it would give us a little bit more in the final third, some fresh legs, some composure, a bit more creativity, imagination. Didn't happen.
So
Empoli, I was
thought
impressed with him.
actually Zlatan was looking creative.
He looked sharper than the rest.
The problem was Rebic wasn't at all. He never moved forward, and you see Giroud and Leao and Macias and really everyone around him know that Giroud's going to do those fancy flick-ons, and Zlatan did that like on multiple occasions. That would have went to right where Leao would have been had he been making a run, but Rebic was on and he just stood there. And I watched it a few times where the ball went perfect for a through ball, and Zlatan just like, "What are you doing, bro? Like you're not running at all." You saw that, and then there was towards the very end of the game, I think it was like 89th minute or something, like very end of the game. Salamakers had the ball. He was running down the sideline. He was right next to Pioli, and Pioli said, "Take it to the corner flag." And this guy fucking cuts inside and loses the ball. And Pioli's freaking out. Everyone's freaking out. It's like,
that's poor game.
Do you have a head? Like, what are you doing? That stuff drives me nuts, and that's why he's now a bench player, and rightfully so. Regardless of Macias, who has had bad games recently, I think his last 3 or 4 have been really poor. But at least he's listening to the coach and doing what he should be doing.
Yeah, but also Macias doesn't belong in the 2nd division of the Belgium league.
Yeah, well, I mean, you saw his attempt at finishing against Napoli, like that. Any other player on earth, that's a second goal. But
we are like having a bit of a. We're having even though we've won back-to-back games now, and they're crucial games, and it has us outright first place. We are having a bit of a confidence crisis in attack. If there's not a bit of individual brilliance from Giroud or Leao, then we have nothing else. Brahim hasn't scored since September. Kessié, I think, continues to prove that one-off game against Empoli when he scored a brace was very much a one-off game. And we're getting nothing from the right wing anymore. At least Macias was contributing goals when he got like 5 in 10. And now, he's on a bit of a scoring drought. We need to find something. I mean, part of me is trying to see the optimistic point of view from that, which is that these players can't stay shit for the rest of the season. Like, they're going to have their moments at least. But then part of me is like, this could be what ends up costing us, that we just don't have a spread enough attack.
But on the flip side of that, our defense is looking better than ever.
Yeah.
I think the emergence of Kalulu is showing us just like how great of a player he really is. Not how much of a detriment Romagnoli or Kier were, but we're not conceding the shit goals, to use Kier's words, that we were when he was playing. We're not making the silly mistakes like Romagnoli face planning against Berardi. We have Tomori, who's a rock, and we have Kalulu, who's a rock, and then now they're also adding goals to it. Obviously, that's a new thing. Kalulu on 1, and I think Tomori has like 2. So it's not like they're scoring bangers, but they are scoring bangers. They're just not scoring a lot of them.
But they're also winning us points.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, yeah, we're keeping the clean sheets now, and we may be struggling to get goals, but as long as we get 1, we're winning. And I think we could at least afford a couple draws too, if necessary. So,
Milan have 16 different goal scorers this season. in a list, it's Romagnoli, Teo, Kalulu, obviously the most recent to be added, Florenzi, Tomori, Benacer, Tonali, Diaz, Daniel Maldini, Salamakers, Kessie, Giroud, Ibra, Rebic, Leao, Macias. I mean, 16 is pretty good. There's two teams in the league, Fiorentina and I think it's Atalanta. Fiorentina and Atalanta have 17 different goal scorers, but that goes to show that we do have a spread attacking threat, perhaps.
And also, I was looking at, and this is me totally getting ahead of myself here. Should we just turn off the Empoli review? Well, no, we still got tops and flops to touch on. But I was looking at the starting lineups for the reverse fixtures of the hard games at the end of the season we have. Just looking at like the Verona game. I don't know if you guys remember that lineup, but it was awful. Tata Rushanu, Ballatore, Daniel Maldini, Salamakers, Rebic, and Giroud, who did score, but he wasn't like top form at the time.
That was mid-injury crisis, wasn't it?
And
he came back, and then we had to throw Castillejo off the bench, and he changed the game.
He changed the game,
yeah, that was crazy.
And you look at the Sassuolo game, that previous game, we had a terrible lineup as well.
Fiorentina was when we had Gabbia up against Vlahovic.
And that was also Mike Bignon's first game back from a serious injury.
That was a mismatch. Yeah, that was a tough one. Conceding 4, obviously, there's no excuses for it, but we were in the game right until the end, weirdly. So yeah, fingers crossed that we're going to sort of hit a gear at the right time. I do think we still need a statement win. I'll go on record as saying, I mean, it doesn't prove anything necessarily if you slap a relegation candidate 5-0, as Inter have proven. They beat Salernitana 5-0. They go to Anfield and beat Liverpool 1-0, and they, gassing themselves up, saying we're the first team to win at Anfield in however long. And then you draw away against Torino and deserve nothing. They should have lost that 2-0, let's be honest. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if we were to go to Cagliari and win 3-0, that would be the seal of approval that we need, that we can go on and win the league. But it would be nice to see us put a team to the sword again, just to prove that we have that. Because last season we went to Juve, won 3-0, went to Torino, won 7-0, and then we came home against Cagliari and drew 0-0. So
yeah, exactly. Well,
funny.
but putting a team to the sword like that would be pretty big at this point in the season. You look at like. Head-to-head wise, we're equal with Napoli now, both having 1-0 wins. So it goes to goal difference if we're tied at the end of the season. They're up on us by 4 goals. So we do need to start putting in like some high win games, like 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 if possible. We got to start building on that. That's when that matters, because I think we have head-to-head on everyone else. We got it on Inter. It's a draw for Juve, so we do need head goals against them, which I think we will, because they're just a 1-0 team. I don't know exactly where we're at right now, but
we're on 26 goal difference there on 19, and as you say, they're winning a lot of games by a goal.
Yeah, it's really just Inter and Napoli who are ahead of us on goal difference. I think Inter has 38 goals. Napoli has 4 more than us, whatever that is, 31, something like that. That's it. 30.
Yeah, tops and flops, let's do it, and then we'll move on. Top for me, Kalulu, innit? It has to be. I'm not even going to try and be controversial and say that it was somebody else. I don't think any of the other outfield players were massively impressive. I thought Calabria struggled a bit at times. I will say that. He looks a little bit rusty. I don't know what that's about. But it didn't end up costing us, because the 2 centre-backs were absolutely fantastic. I'll throw Tomori in there as well, saying that they look fast, aggressive, they look physical. Like, Pinamonti's not an easy customer. He scored 9 goals this season for Empoli, and he's a young forward on loan from Inter, and I could just see the headlines if he scored an equaliser. But he's big and he's awkward, and he puts himself about, a bit like Scamacca, but just not quite as well-rounded yet. And those two dealt with him really, really well. And they also made sure Bayrami had to stay wide. They didn't let Liam Henderson get into the game too much, and he's having a good season. Florenzi did a good job stepping in at left back. Tonali was clearly playing with some kind of sickness bug.
Yeah, he threw up mid-game. That was weird.
Yeah, I don't really get that.
Yeah, he threw up in the first half.
Yeah, and the reports have sort of suggested, through imperfect translation maybe, that he developed the feeling of nausea during the game. Like, he didn't actually start feeling sick.
Yeah.
And he just started, and then they waved him back on at half-time and said he's fine. So it might have just been a temporary thing, but Kessie at 10 didn't really have the desired effect.
I didn't think he looked awful though.
No,
I think he looked better in a 3-man midfield than playing as an attacking mid.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because there was a clear difference between the role he played on Saturday and the role he played against Napoli. Where he was tagged on to Fabian Ruiz and basically didn't let him out of his sight, whereas he was trying to be the attacking threat against Empoli. And unlike the reverse fixture when he scored twice, he just didn't get the same space in behind. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good game for Brahim Diaz. He might be having a look at that and saying, see, it doesn't always work, boss, against these lower ranking teams. Sometimes you need a bit of something different.
But Brahim is not, I feel like he's better when he comes on at the end of the game.
Yeah, he's been an impact sub lately, but I don't know if it's working out for him though. I just feel like he can't find his niche lately.
He's struggling. I've said in the chat many times, and I'm sure I've said on here before, I think it's time to try him out on the right. I really do.
I wouldn't be against it.
We need to get the most out of the pieces that we have, and if the option is to try him in a different position, that I think it's to his strengths really, because we know that he's good dribbling. We know that he's good in isolation. We know that he's also good when he cuts into pockets of space, but when he's marked out of the game by an opposition's defensive midfielder and there's no space between the lines, we might as well be playing with 10 men. So if you play him out wide, the amount of time and space that Macias gets sometimes to cut in and shoot, obviously Salamanca's causes problems with his dribbles inside when they don't know whether to track him or not. I think that plays into Brahim's strengths. I would genuinely try him out wide. And we tried him wide left towards the back end of last season. That was when him and Çalhanoğlu were both starting, and he scored the goal at Juve that kick-started the route. So I'd be willing to give that a go, and I'd even try Macias down the middle because he seems to end up playing there anyway.
Yeah, well, that's where he was last season. He was the right midfielder, but not the right mid. He was just like the right central midfielder, if that makes sense. What are we doing? Oh, we're on tops and flops, huh? We just kind of tangent.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Did you pick your flop, or are we doing that next? How do you want to do it?
My flop was Macias. And I know that sounds harsh because he did actually have a couple of shots on target, but it was that frustrated me. They were letting him cut inside onto his left foot to shoot because they knew that he wasn't going to score. The first one he sent way wide. The second one was straight down the keeper's arms. And then they gave him the exact same shooting spot again, and he did the exact same thing. Those are the games where you think if we had a Berardi, and I know it's whataboutery in it, but well, ifs and buts, whatever. But yeah, if we had a Berardi, we're probably scoring one of those 3 shots. And we're struggling for a bit of end product on the right side. So I'd say him. Yeah.
I'm going to not pick Kalulu, even though he's the very obvious choice and probably is man of the match. But I'm going to pick Mike Mignon.
We're doing flops here, pal.
No, I'm picking top still because we haven't done that yet.
Did Oliver just do his flop?
Yeah, he did his top.
We're doing top
flop.
and
I'm going to do my top and then flop. Is
Oh,
this your first time on the podcast, or?
No, normally we all do tops, and then normally we all do flops.
Okay, well, not this week.
Is this your first time on the podcast?
I swear we did it this way last week too. I'm pretty sure we did. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyways, my top is Mike Mignon because he made a really big save that kept us in the game. I can't remember who it was, but someone had a header and he got it like just last second. Yeah, it was really nice, and I think he made 2 big saves, and those were the only saves he had to make in the game. But both of them would have beat, previous keepers, Donnarumma, Tatarusanu, whomever has played in net for us recently. I think would have both been beat. So yeah, I think Mike kept us in it, and then obviously Kalulu won it. But without Mike, we don't get the 3 points.
Now you've got to do your flop if you want to stick to you.
I do. My flop is going to be probably Macias. I think he couldn't do it.
Man,
and
you just win your money and now you turn on the poor guy.
Well, I won my money and he hasn't put in a good performance. and I was thinking that when I was watching the game, I was like, wow, I was his biggest fan until he won that bet, and now I don't even care. It's just bad. It's just like he hasn't had a good game, and I'm like, well, it doesn't affect me anymore.
Yeah.
It's got to be him though. I would pick Salamakers just because of how the hell do you disobey the manager when you're right next to him with seconds left, and it's a pretty obvious task of just take it to the corner flag, and you're like, no, I'm gonna cut inside and try to shoot, and then you give the ball away and they get a counter attack. It's like, bro, you could have cost us the whole game there. If it wasn't for my top, we probably would have. So Salmakers could still be flop, even though he played like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you just took my flop, so I'm not going to do that. Top is going to be Kalulu, because without him, we don't get any points at all. Well, we'd get 1 point. We wouldn't get 3 points. This might be a little controversial. I'm going to say my flop was Liao. I feel like this was a game that he could have really just gone off, but instead he was trying to do way too much and didn't do anything at all.
His end product was really lacking. I did notice that. He
Was.
got himself into some dangerous positions in the first 30 minutes and squandered it. The end ball wasn't there. Don't know what that's all about, whether he's trying to do too much and he's losing a bit of his composure and the clinical side of him that we'd seen before. But he showed that he could still beat his man. I mean, that one where he pushed it past Stojanovic and got to the other side, I thought this is ending in a goal. But yeah, I don't know. We can't expect him to be the match winner every week. I do acknowledge that. But yeah, there were a couple of decisions that I thought he could have done better with. So when you rely on someone and they don't deliver, then you're naturally going to think they flopped. Right, Cagliari preview. Okay, this is the point where I have to Google the season that they're having. All I know is they're 3 points above the bottom three. So what we were saying before about Salernitana scrapping for their lives and taking a point off us, Udinese being 3 points above the bottom three, scrapping for their lives. They took a point off us. Not only are Cagliari 3 points above the bottom three, but Venezia have 2 games in hand on them. So if those go, the way of Venezia, one of them's tonight against Lazio, then they will find themselves in the bottom three. So they're in deep bother again.
Is Nangolan still at
I don't
Cagliari?
know, to be honest with you. I don't think if he is, he's not playing much. I haven't heard anything from him this season.
No,
I know Diego Godin's still there, but he hasn't been anything since leaving Atletico.
Yeah, Nangolan's not there anymore. Tell you who is there. João Pedro, he's a good player. I don't understand how he's still there. He seems to be getting double digits goals and assists, and he just hasn't moved on. They've got Nandez, who keeps being linked with the big clubs, good midfielder. Bellanova's actually playing quite a lot for them at fullback, and he was in our academy. And then went to Bordeaux and is now on loan there. They've got Caceres, who was at Juve. They've got Dalbert on loan from Inter.
Nandez is also injured, so he will not be playing.
Good news. Very good news. Got Keita Valde as well, who was at Lazio. They have got an interesting team.
It's weird because you look at their recent history, their last 5 games, they've only won 1. But that was against Torino, who obviously just drew against Inter and should have won. But in that stretch, they also drew against Napoli in a scoring draw. And then you take it back one more game to their last 6, and they beat Atalanta. So it's like they're not in good form, but they're still picking up some decent results against some decent teams.
Also, Godin's not there anymore.
Oh yeah, I think
did he leave
leave
in winter? Because he was in the reverse. He got carded.
He's not on Foot Mob.
I think didn't he terminate his contract? I seem to remember him being in the news for something. He's now at Atletico Mineiro. Yeah. So he left midway through the season.
Wow.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all right. Well, we're probably going to beat them.
They still have 4 Uruguayan players, which is interesting.
It is a little interesting.
Yeah. No, as you say, weirdly, if anything, they seem to have quite a lot of bad results against teams that they probably should be picking up points in. I mean, they lost their last game 2-0 against Spezia, which is not good for the relegation battle. But yeah, I don't know. What's
crazy is that we go. Wait, where does it say they have a? Yeah, they've beat us once since 2011, and that was in 2017 when we were arguably our worst. So, in the reverse, we beat them 4-1. I don't think this is going to be difficult. I think it's business as usual.
Yeah. The last season away from home, we beat them 2-0, and That was when Ibra scored a pen, and then he scored again. He's got a brace. God, yeah, this should be a win, shouldn't it?
Should be.
It should be, yeah. It doesn't instill the same confidence in me as Empoli at home did, where I was thinking this needs to be a win and it needs to be a comfortable win. This is another one where it's just like, let's get over the line. It's always hard when you're facing those teams, especially away from home, that are literally fighting for their lives. Cagliari have just about avoided the drop a fair bit recently. And, that result against Spezia is not good. The 2 games in hand that Venezia have will scare them a little bit. Massari is an experienced Serie A coach as well. Don't know, this might be quite a tough one. And our inability to play well, play to our potential under pressure. Let's hope that doesn't bite us on the arse. But I'll open up and say that we'll win 2-1.
Well, I'm going to agree with you on the win, but I'm going to disagree with everything else you said. Our away form is significantly better than our home form. I think the fact that they do have to fight for their survival means they're going to be a lot more open up. They're not going to be sitting back. They're going to leave a bunch of opportunities for us to counter, which plays into Brahim's strength, it plays into Leao's strength, it plays into Giroud's strength, it plays into Messia's strengths. I think this is going to be the route. I think this is a 5-0.
I think we recently played a team that was also fighting relegation that shouldn't have been sitting back, and we drew them 2-2.
Yeah, but that was also two howlers. I mean, there was no reason for my top of the last game, Mike, to go out of the box and do the weird shit he was trying to do.
Well,
so.
Shit happens.
It does. Shit does happen, but I also think the team realizes where they're at right now, and this is just going to be the game. This is it. This is the one. This is about the time of the Torino last season when I said the same, and I was right. So.
Well, I think we.
Another work call for Madison.
Yeah.
Damn it! Did my mic go out again?
Getting sacked.
Yeah. Dude, my people keep on calling me.
Getting sacked.
It's my coworkers. It's not, I think it's going to be like a 3-0 win, but yeah, that's all. 3-0.
When was the Torino game last season? Was that?
It was
May.
3 games till the end of the season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, a little early for that, but yeah, I think
would certainly take another statement win though. That would be bloody good.
Do you know what I would love is a statement win against Atalanta at the end of the season.
I would love that too.
That would be decisive. Talking points, then. I just wanted to do one thing for this, really, and that is there's been like 3 different newspapers during the week who've been talking about the growth of our young players, and they all decided to have a stab at some of the market valuations that they might have now. So basically, the price that they had when they joined versus what they're worth now in the current market as an estimate. So we'll go through and see if we can reach an agreement. So Mike Mignan cost us 14 million euros from Lille. What do we think he's worth now?
Knowing he's a goalkeeper, it's not going to be as high as it should be. I want to say like 60, but I bet they said 45.
I was going to say 40, just because he is a goalkeeper.
Might turn this into a quiz.
Do it.
They said 30.
Nah, they're wrong. 30. They're wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if age is a factor in that because he's 25 and not 21, 22, but I don't know.
It should be
goalkeeper play till they're like 35.
Yeah, I know. He's going to be in his prime when he's like 30. Also, let's turn this into a quiz. Loser buys the first round of drinks in DC.
In the Scudetto party.
Why?
Which is probably higher or lower.
You've got to get it right. I think we should say.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So next we've got Ismael Benacer, who cost us 17 mil.
Who is this?
Benacer,
17 mil. He cost us. What is he worth now?
He's worth 50. I know they're not going to say that, but that's what he's worth.
I'm gonna say
got
38.
A release clause. Are you actually saying 50 or?
Yeah, because I'm more confident in my valuations of the players than I am in this silly little bet with Madison. So
you want to lose? 30 million is what they've said for him as well. Pierre Kalulu.
30 million is awfully low.
You said 38 though. You didn't get it right either.
That's why I said damn it.
Oh, I thought you said okay. I thought you.
Pierre Kalulu, who was obviously 480,000. Yeah.
21.
Oh, I was gonna say 25. Let's
15.
change it. I was about to say that. I swear to God, I was about to say that.
I think they're undervaluing some of our players. If that gives you a little,
They're
bit
undervaluing
of a clue.
all of them. Yeah, and that's why, like,
yeah.
I don't want to say the undervalue because it's just there. It's wrong.
I mean, for God's sake, if Upamecano, who was basically a France under-21 international defender, which is what Kalulu is now, if he was able to go for like 60 mil, that should probably give you a bit of a clue as to where he is. Anyway. Sandro Tonali cost us 21 million in total. What is he worth now?
Do I want to get this right, or do I want to just say what he's
Make
worth?
a political statement.
Who is this?
Tonali.
Oh,
They're gonna say 32.
I'm gonna say like 48.
Whoa, 35.
Fuck off. Oh man.
Oh, we're having fun. This is Tutor Sport. I will add that. I thought it was Gazzetta at first, but it's Tutor Sport. Anyway, it's a bit fun. Fikayo Tomori cost us 28 million.
He's
45.
It's tough because like he's worth so much more than Harry Maguire, but you know what they're gonna value him at is what did you say, Matt? You said 35?
45.
45. And what was the original price?
28.
Yeah, 35 is a good guess. I'm gonna go 36 and a half.
I also said 45, not 35.
Yeah.
Shoot, you did. Okay,
He's
well,
a 50 million player, according to Tutor Sport.
I wanted to say that.
Impressive.
That's the second one I would have had right if I went with my first guess, but damn.
This one's funny. This one will make you laugh. Alexis Salamak has cost us 8 million. What is he worth now?
12.
20.
A bag of crisps.
Yeah, they're gonna say 20, aren't they?
They are. You've got a point.
Oh no! Fuck!
There's no reason for that, but you know,
I presume they mean 20 million is what we'd pay for someone to take him.
Yeah, exactly.
Teo Hernandez cost us 21.5 million. What is he worth now?
65, easy, 65.
I'm gonna go 60.
50 million.
Oh,
It's not enough.
Rafael Leao, 29 million. What is he worth now?
So, okay, there was some dumb argument I saw, and I don't know if it was related to this article, but it was like some Manchester United fans are saying they could sell Rashford for like 150 and then buy Leao for I think 50, even though Leao had twice as many goals as Rashford in like half the games or something stupid. But so I'm going to go off that because I think he probably just looked it up on Transfer Market, which sounds like is exactly what these idiots at Tuttosport did. So 50 mil.
Is that what Maddie's doing now?
Probably because
he
Transfer Market.
I know he is. I can see his eyes burrowing for the information. So what are you saying? 50?
Unfortunately, but in my mind, let it be known that Leao is worth well over 100 million. But for the sake of the game, 50.
Maddie?
I looked it up. I'm not gonna cheat like that.
You were bang on. It is 50
I'll go.
mil.
What? The information I looked up said 70. So.
Oh right, okay. Well, you try to cheat and fail. Well done.
I'm up 2-0.
So
yeah, you only get one drink though.
that is actually it.
Drink per goal that we score.
Let me try and find the Gazzetta one because I want to. This was about the price of our starting 11. So they said that since Elliott took charge, 2018-19, our starting 11 started as worth 263 million combined, and it's gone up to 360 million worth now. They said Mike Maignan is also worth 30 mil. They said Pierre Kalulu 15 mil. They said that Tomori, Teo, and Leao are 50 mil players. So they kind of agreed on it, to be honest. Now, I know that the market is a little bit skewed and stuff, and we have our own attachment to Leao, which makes us think that he should be triple figures million player, but he might not actually fetch that. We'll see about his contract and stuff. Yeah,
their valuations may be true as far as like Serie A, but I'm just thinking, what is a club that could even afford or would go in for Leao? It's going to be, a Premier League team, which means the price is going to be double, triple what it should be. So that's where I'm getting my valuations from.
And I think yours are probably more towards the accuracy than Tuto Sport, who for some reason have decided to downplay talent in our league, which is a good idea, isn't it?
The only reason they would downplay it is because they're pro Juve and Juve aren't good.
Gazetta said the same, but they've been quite pro Inter recently, so we can't trust the media. That's where we're at. Right.
Fake news.
Cues. Trump was right about Putin, by the way. Let's move on. Kareem, how do we deal with Zlatan? He's still got the best minutes per goal ratio in the team, and he's pretty handy against lower ranked sides. Is he an impact sub between now and the end of the season, or do we rotate him in, or what?
I think he'll be rotated. I think he'll eventually start a couple more games. I mean, 9 left in the season. He's going to start some of them. Honestly, this coming game, if he's got the minutes in his legs, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts and comes off at halftime or something. But yeah, I don't think he'll be the out-and-out starter.
I think he'll start a few games. I think he's mostly going to be an impact sub. I will say I think he starts our last home game to kind of give him in case he doesn't resign.
Especially if we've won the title. Yeah.
Yeah, but if we haven't, we're just like false sentimentality for no reason, and it just botches our chances of winning the title. That'd be quite funny. Hobbles off after 10 minutes. I would start him on Saturday. We've got a full week run up at this game. His record against Cagliari is really good. I would start him on Saturday. I think Giroud needs a rest. Giroud away from home, obviously Napoli goal aside. He scored 11 of his 12 goals at San Siro this season. Ibra loves away games. And if he has got 60 minutes in him, I would start him. I would start him in that game on Saturday against Cagliari. And I do think he will be rotated. We can't expect the world from Giroud. We can't expect him to start the remaining 10 games of the season, potentially 11 if we get to the cup final. He's 35 as well. But I think having Ibra back and having a double-pronged attack, it can only be a bonus for us because he keeps the levels up on the pitch as well. Ibra will have been shouting like mad at Salamanca's for disobeying orders and stuff. And I think having him, he's more vocal than Giroud, without a doubt. Let's just hope that he holds up injury-wise, because this is also the time of the season where we're starting to think about, has he earned a new deal or not? Rocky Award, does the success we've seen having pacey centre-backs that can play a high line with recovery speed change your mind about who we should sign in the summer? I think the implication here is that Botman is slow.
Can you read that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did not get anything from Botman from
that. Does the success we've seen having pacey centre-backs that can play a high line and have lots of recovery speed change your mind about who we should sign in the summer?
No, because I think that deal's done already. I keep hearing people say like, "Oh, is Botman the right guy? Should we go for Botman? Should we go for Bremer? Should we do this?" Don't even give it thought. The deal's done. It's just obviously not getting announced. It's like Mignon. I think that is done and dusted. The only thing that might be still being worked out is, are we going to bundle Renato Sanchez in it? But the Botman's done. That's who's coming in. So it doesn't matter the ifs, ands, or buts about a center back pairing. Botman's coming in. He's going to be a starter right away, and Kalu's going to be the third choice.
Right.
Yes. And I think it's important to have one center back who kind of sits back, no matter how fast they are, players can always outrun them. So,
Yeah, just because they're quick.
I guess not no matter how fast they are.
I was going to say, I think there's a hole in that, but
just because they're quick, I suppose, and they have recovery speed doesn't necessarily mean they're always going to be in the right place at the right time. And it doesn't always mean that we're going to keep a clean sheet because they're so fast that they can't be beaten. Botman, he's very good for his age, let's be honest. And to be part of a team that overthrew the dominance of PSG and won a league title, keeping, I think it was 16 or 17 clean sheets that season. He's a massive part of that. He seems to me to be a massive upgrade on Romagnoli as well. I don't think
I think it was even more than that, because I'm pretty sure Mike had 23 or 26 clean sheets to his name, and I know they didn't go far in Europe. So
I think I might have underestimated them.
Yeah, I think they were wild that season, and then we're just taking them over.
That is the Christophe Gaultier effect. And they only conceded 23 goals in 38 games. So they almost definitely kept 20 plus clean sheets. But Botman's coming. We do need to make an investment in the centre-back position because Romagnoli's leaving. So I think a good idea is to sign a starter-level player who can play left-sided centre-back. And then you've got Kalulu and Tomori, who are the fast, more aggressive presences in the team, in the squad. And then we'll see what happens from there. If we need another young player or if we trust Gabia and think we can go ahead with 4. Obviously, Kier's coming back, but we don't know what he's going to be like. But we could potentially have 5 very solid options to be throwing out there next season. But I think Botman's coming. So, no, I can't say it changes my mind. I think it would be a statement as well to beat, money-rich Newcastle. Spurs are apparently sniffing around for him as well. So it would be good to get him because it shows the strength of our project as well. Jake, that Milan fan. This is basically his take, and it's an agree or disagree. Milan should splash the cash on satisfying Di Maria's wages and try bring him in on a free. He'd take us to a next level and probably tear Syria apart.
Agree. I don't think his wages are as high as people think they are. And with him being at his age, I think 30, 34, 35?
34, yeah.
Yeah, 34. He's going to be Giroud's age.
34.
No. Bring Berardi in, who's proven in the league.
Yeah, but one's free,
also
one's
much
40 mil.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, I'll take Berardi over Di Maria. Yeah.
Frank Ribery, you thought would come in here and just tear shit up.
I didn't because he was
nothing.
He was like 39 and he was never like a fitness beast.
He was
he came in
39.
I think he did, dude. I think he's like
40
now.
30, no, I think he was like 37 to be fair. But still,
yeah. He was 1 year older than Di Maria.
His first season wasn't bad with Fiorentina. He started off really strong, and then he
basically
just his age caught up to him.
single-handedly beat us. He had an amazing game at San Siro, and he got clapped off.
Yeah.
Okay, so bring in a player who's going to single-handedly help us for 1 season.
Yeah,
but that might be all you need.
That's what we do with Giroud. That's what we
did
with Zlatan.
We're trying to build. That is not the project that Maldini's doing.
I was playing devil's advocate there. I don't think there's any way that we bring in a 34-year-old to be one of our highest earners. But the exception has already been made with Ibra.
And I was going to say we've done it twice.
Yeah, no, but Ibra, I don't know. He's going to be taking a big pay cut to stay around. Otherwise, he won't be staying around. It's that simple.
Then we're going to have the wages. Look, I know our transfer window budget is going to be like 85 mil. I think that's going to be Botman for 30. Probably Renato Sanchez. Who knows what else in attack. But we're going to get a free sign-in, be it Belotti or Di Maria. Whichever one we get, if we get Belotti for free, then splash on Berardi. If we get Di Maria for free, then splash on Jonathan David or something. And there's obviously a much better option there. But I don't think there's a bad choice. I think either one's going to be good.
The experience, the winning mentality, the chemistry that he already has with Ibrahimovic, there would be some pros to it.
He doesn't have much. They only played together, 1 season at United?
Yeah.
Yeah, they never played together at PSG.
No, obviously
it could only have been 1 season. Di Maria was only at United for 1 season.
Right. Yeah. Still, they won something together. They won the Europa League.
Yeah, and Di Maria's won it all with Real Madrid multiple times over. He knows the mentality of a winning team. Granted, he's probably lost it a bit being at United and then this PSG star-studded team that just is expected to win for nothing. But yeah,
I've just realized
your goalie.
Wow. Shots fired, but true. Yeah, I just realised I was doing a quiz earlier where I had to name the Real Madrid 11 from 2010-11. And
is that who you missed?
Di Maria was the name that I was missing, yeah. Yeah, but I can go back and put it in because I've paused it. So cheers for that, Jake. Swedish podcast asks, I never try and pronounce Zviej, but I hope I haven't butchered that. Would you play Kessie or Diaz as the attacking midfielder moving forward? Has the Kessie experiment definitively failed? Is it going to be horses for courses where we see what sort of team we're up against and play that? I personally would be playing Brahim against Cagliari. I just think it's a game that's more conducive to his strengths because they're going to try and get something out of the game without a doubt. And also the way they play, there is going to be a bit more space between the lines, hopefully.
Yeah, I think Brahim starts for the smaller clubs like this game. I think it's good for him. And then Kessie probably against the teams that are going to be a lot more physical, that are going to be able to beat Brahim off the ball and not concede a free kick. I think Kessie's better suited than that. And I don't think he's been bad there because I think he's just an attacking mid on paper, and then we're really playing a 4-3-3. At least that's what it looks like to me. So I think that's perfectly fine, and it's okay to have a little variance in your system. I think that's actually an important thing. So, yeah, I think
agreed.
Rotate.
Anything to add, Maddie? No? No, all good. Final one, Pete, 1899. Which player in particular needs to improve their form the most in order for us to go on and win the Scudetto?
Anyone on right wing, whoever's playing, just do better.
I'm going to say any of the attackers that we have. They could all score more goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say Rebic because we've already seen him be decisive in the second half of the 2 seasons that he's been with us. You know, he got double figures goals in both of them. And he has not been great since he came back from injury. I thought that goal against Salernitana would kickstart a bit of confidence from him, but it hasn't really happened that way. If we can get him, because he's our Iceman, he doesn't know what pressure is, you know, but at the moment he's playing like he's drunk all the time. So we could do with that being fixed. But Messias Jr. is another one. He's got 5 goals this season, so he can't be like bottom level player. You know, there's something there for him to score 5 goals, to score a winner in a Champions League group stage game, to score a brace away against Genoa, I believe it was. There's something there, and if you can turn that 5 goals into 10, you know, in the last 9 games of the season, then we're going to be in pretty good shape, because we're at the point in the season now where a lot of these goals are going to be winning goals, and those winning goals are worth absolute gold. You know, if they win 3 points in the title race out of 27 that are available, then that's huge. So, yeah, fingers crossed that the attack steps up, basically. That is it, boys. It's been a pleasure. We're going to be under an hour, which is, you know, I'm proud of
Never
myself.
happened with you as host.
So now
if you keep on explaining how we'll be under an hour, it's not going to be.
Well, I have like 3 minutes I got to cut out in the intro when we weren't discussing sport.
I might start time wasting.
No, you know, people in the comments, because it happened last time. They said, "Oh, under an hour." You know, Ollie didn't show up. Well, they're gonna be surprised today.
They're gonna see my face and close the video. That's what you're saying. Yeah, thank you for everybody who made it this far. Also, I'm going to say at this point, so I don't forget to plug it, we have an Italian website now. Mentioned it last week, but we're in after, what are we on now? A week. We've had it for a week. SempreMilan.it is where you can go if you speak Italian, native Italian speaker, whatever. Get yourself over there for all the latest news, match day updates, features, all that kind of stuff. And follow it on Twitter as well, please. SempreMilan.it. Facebook, you'll find it the same place. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's checked it out so far. And I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ.
Yeah, and just to go back to the IT website, even if you don't speak Italian, it's a good follow, because we have guys on site in Milan that have been getting a lot of videos of the team as they leave and go into practice, you know, signing things and stuff. So there is good content that you're not going to find on the English page, because they're there in Milan, so they get the on the site stuff, which is pretty fantastic. So check it out, regardless whether you speak it or not. You can always hit translate. It's super simple. So yeah, give it a follow, and follow me right there, Torgo45. And we also had the fantastic and wonderful Madison.
Hey, I love it. Go ahead and follow me at. God damn.
Went the wrong way 3 times. There's only 2 directions.
Hey,
there we go. Right there.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, boys. We'll catch you in a week's time, hopefully with another win to recap. Follow us on all the social medias and stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you in a week's time. Thank you.
Ecco l'Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono.